Good morning, everyone. I have tried to make a different video like so many times, so I'm hoping that this is going to work. I'm going to use Screencastify so that you can see me plus my screen as I go through the different things for this course. So the name of the class is Road Trip with Mrs. Zip. I'm physically going on a road trip. I'm heading out west with me and my two youngest children. And we're traveling all the way to Oregon and then we'll come back home a different way. So we think we're hitting like 15 different states. So you'll get to come along and join us for the fun, which I hope is fun. You'll get to see lots of cool things. I will be doing more live type videos when I'm on location. Today I didn't really do that because we didn't really go anywhere. So we left yesterday morning. We left Reedsville at about 8:30 yesterday morning, and we arrived in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, around like 4:15 yesterday. So it was a lot of driving. So this course is going to be done through Google Classroom. So here's Google Classroom. Here's actually Google Classroom. When you come to it, you're going to see this. Okay, so this is the stream. I will be posting stuff on here like updates, but to find the work or the breakdown day by day, you'll go to the different days. So day 1, day 2, and I'll have all the days on there. So you can just click on it and see what the assignments are. And that's how you get to things. So you can also upload pictures and links to different things on there as well. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to find in your package, besides the letter from me, is called the Selfie Challenge, which looks like this. Like that. It's a selfie scavenger hunt. So, although I'm going many, many miles, you can find lots of cool things right close to home. So, in Manitowoc, Two Rivers, you're going to find a lot of these cool things. You can also see a lot of these cool things, or not these cool things, but other cool things where you live or other places you go. So I want to see your journeys this summer as well. So let's see if I can move me up here because I keep looking down at it. This way I'm looking more at you. So I want you to take pictures, take videos. I will have a link on Flipgrid that's called Selfie, and you can post things to that as well. Okay. So that is your selfie stuff, your selfie challenge. I can't wait to see where you all go. For the activities, some of you probably got your packet and were like, oh my gosh, what is she doing to us? The summer school is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be so much work. You do not have to do everything that's in your summer school packet. Okay, so don't feel like you have to do everything that's in there. I'm also going to have links to different games or different activities that you can do. We'll do some quizzes, some game kits too, just to kind of break things up. I would like to do a live Zoom, so we'll try to coordinate that. That might be a little tricky, but we can at least get some of you on it. The main thing is going to be to watch the videos because I will be live and on location and teaching you all the different things. So today we're going to the Badlands. So I've done a ton of research so that I can educate you about the different things in the Badlands. So you're learning while you're getting to see cool things. Maybe make your snack from Mrs. Weezy's class, and then you can watch the video as you're eating your snack. So a good way to incorporate both classes together. So the activity that correlates to today is this States of the West worksheet. So what I want you to do is only label all these states. So figure out where they all are and just label them. We'll be coloring them in as I go through the different states. I haven't been to any of the states yet. Okay. What else? So the first place that I went through was Minnesota. So I did find some information just so that I could teach you something today, since we didn't really go to any cool places yet. So the first place we went is Minnesota. It is our neighbor to the west. You've probably heard a lot about Minnesota in the news lately. Um, but it is actually a very beautiful state. Looks a lot like Wisconsin. Like as I was driving through, I felt like I was still in Wisconsin. It is called the Land of 10,000 Lakes. Although Wisconsin actually has more lakes than Minnesota, we just don't pride ourselves on our lakes. Some of the Minnesotians, I think that's what you call them, will argue and say that Wisconsin counts way too many things as lakes. They say that we count every single little pond as a lake. I'm not sure if that's true, but that might be why we technically have more lakes than what they do. If I do this in like full present mode, then you can't see me, which probably would be okay too. um, so next is the Mississippi River. So we did actually pass the Mississippi River. The Mississippi River kind of divides Minnesota and Wisconsin. As you can see here, it's right along the border. So when we were in La Crosse, which we started like here, so we were probably close to here. So we were in La Crosse and we crossed the Mississippi River. As you cross the Mississippi River, you go from Wisconsin to Minnesota. So very beautiful there. On one side, you have Lake Michigan. So like right here, you have Lake Michigan. And then over here are tons and tons of trees and big hills. So it's actually a very, very beautiful area. The hills, it's so cool because there are so many houses built on the hills. And I'm not quite sure how they do that. They don't have much of a backyard. They kind of have a side yard. Also, as we're driving through Minnesota, kind of parts of Wisconsin too, it was kind of interesting because some of the fields are like built on these big hills, and I'm just like, I wonder what they do. So they must have some kind of farming practices that actually allow them to have farmland on the hills because they're obviously using that. So this is just a little video that Janessa took as we were going over the Mississippi River. And it just shows the Mississippi River. There's trees. Here's more of the Mississippi River. There's kind of just a lot of trees all around it, and it just kind of flows under where we are. When she pans to the left, you can see some of the trees that I was just talking about. And Kenson says it looks like broccoli. So as from a distance, it looked like little broccoli sprouts because the trees were all full of leaves. So some interesting information about the Mississippi River. It actually begins in Minnesota, and it empties into the Gulf of Mexico. And when I did this PowerPoint, it kind of took away part of my map, but you can at least see kind of how it goes through the whole United States. It actually borders or passes through 10 different states. It is the third longest river in in North America. Another task for you today is to figure out what is the longest river in North America. So if you have that answer, you can comment below the video of what is actually the longest river in North America, because it is not the Mississippi. If I was to jump in a floaty, in a tube up here, it would take me 90 days to simply float down the Mississippi. Now, I wouldn't recommend it because it does go pretty quick some areas. And I think there's some waterfall kind of things. So you probably don't want to go in a tube all the way down. But if I were to, it would take me about 90 days to get all the way down, just floating. Its deepest point is 200 feet deep. And it has over 360 species of fish, which actually makes sense because if you think about the weather in Minneapolis or Minnesota in the wintertime, it's so cold and it's always very warm down by Mississippi and Louisiana. So as it flows into the Gulf, it's pretty warm. So the organisms or the fish that live up here aren't going to be able to live down here and vice versa. So there are 360 different species of fish, which is pretty cool. Listen. Get out of my video.
I'm not.
Yeah, you are. Okay, so they were in the swimming area. Now they're back. I sent them away so I could make the video. One thing I found so much of on the way here in Minnesota, and I think it's because they have a lot of flat land and a lot of most of it around the windmills is farmland. So they have a lot of wind. They're actually ranked the seventh in the United States for the windiest places. So it makes sense that they would have so many windmills. So everywhere you looked as we were driving along the interstate, there were so many windmills. Which is kind of cool. I know we have windmills in Wisconsin, right? As we travel to Green Bay, we can see some windmills, but those are kind of closer to homes and stuff like that, so they're a little more, I guess, controversial. Here, they're just in the middle of fields, so they actually are able to use a lot of that wind power. So actually, wind power in Minnesota provides 18% of Minnesota's energy, which is pretty cool because then they don't need the coal, they don't need the natural gases, which we know aren't always very good for our environment. So wind is a renewable resource. There's always going to be wind. So because it's a renewable resource, we're not using things that we can't get back. And it's a very clean kind of energy. It's a clean kind of energy, so it doesn't cause environmental damage the way other forms of energy do. So it actually provides about 18% of Minnesota's electricity, which is enough to power over 1 million homes in Minnesota, which is pretty cool. It has grown. That number was in 2016. So 4 years later, they do have more ability to produce energy. The interesting thing I thought was, as we were going through, a lot of the windmills weren't even turning. But I think that's because they can only store so much energy. So they can only use as much energy as they're going to use, and they can only store so much. So until they're able to store more of that energy, there's a lot of times that you're going to see those windmills not even spinning. Eventually, they're hoping to use some of that wind energy and push it out to North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin, which would be great because they would help give Wisconsin energy and a much cleaner energy than what we're currently using. I already said that it ranks 7th for the amount of wind, and it's a very clean energy. So, yeah, that was pretty much all that we saw yesterday. We did get to Sioux Falls around like 4:15 yesterday, which is in South Dakota. It was 100 degrees here yesterday and super windy. It was so windy. Today, actually, it's us tomorrow here, but today we're going to explore the Badlands. So I will be actually with my camera, and you'll be able to see it as I'm there. So I'll be doing a lot of different videos. So you'll get to see the Badlands. On Wednesday, you'll actually get to see Mount Rushmore. We're going to go check that out tonight, and I guess they do a lighting ceremony and things at 9:00. So I will be there for you to see the lighting of Mount Rushmore. I also hope to get there during the day the next day so you can see it in daylight as well. If you have any questions, please comment under the video. Otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing day. I can't wait for our next adventure. Bye.
Are you going to stop it? Or?
Yeah, I don't.